Hello, everybody. Welcome in. This is our 26.5 release webinar. We're just going to give everyone a couple minutes to join us here. Just wanted to get us started right at the top of the hour, and then we'll wait maybe just 1 or 2 more minutes, let a few more people trickle in. But thank you for being here. Let's see, the chat is open for the webinar. So as we go through, if you have questions or anything, please feel free to throw them in there while we give everyone a couple minutes. You know, my favorite way to start these out is with a quick little icebreaker question. Today, in the spirit of summer break, maybe your kids just started summer break. We're about on the first day of summer here. Tell us, are you taking any fun summer vacations this year? I would love to hear from you. Maybe we can all live vicariously through your fun summer travel or summer plans if you have them. Throw it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Bill, do you have any travel plans this summer?
I don't, which sounds boring, but the only reason I don't this summer is because I do this fall. My
Oh,
cousin is getting married in Oaxaca in Mexico, so I'm saving my summer travel for fall. So, but if it counts, does it count? A little
yeah,
bit?
that counts.
Okay,
How about the
cool.
rest of the year? What do you got?
Yeah.
Garth says he has none because he has no kids, so he gets to spend all the money on himself. That is awesome, Garth. I love it. I hope you treat yourself to something nice. And oh, Justin. Justin's going to spend all his money on golf. Well, I hope you go to a really fun course, Justin. Brandon, what about you? You got any travel plans the rest of the year?
No, I'm gonna mirror what Garth said because I also don't have any kids. I want to spend all my money on me. So
And
various
Arun.
hobbies and tinkering.
Yeah, for me, I'm getting married this year, so honeymooning in St. Lucia. So looking forward to that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were doing that. That sounds amazing. Are you going right after your wedding?
Yes, basically short, like a day after.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be so great. I'm so happy for you. All right. Well, I think we will go ahead and get started here. So, thank you all for joining us today. Like I said right at the beginning, this is our 26.5 release. So, we are going to be talking about features released last month in the platform. This was a really, really big one for us, like huge light up the sign, big feature release. We released software deployment automation. So, we're going to dig into that a little bit today, but we really kind of want to highlight, why this is so important, what it means for you, how you can utilize this in your business, right? Because we've really kind of turned, this is like a big evolution for Cork, right? We've turned in from telling you, no longer just telling you what needs attention, but we're now helping you like take action on that. And so we've been a platform that sees risk, that shows you risk, and now we're helping you to eliminate that risk. So anything that we can automate to help you save time and operationalize things better in your business is something that we want to do for you and really help make that difference in your MSP. So we're going to show you that feature today, show you how it works, how you can use it, and what to do with it. Like I said, if you have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We will definitely have time to get to those. And any feedback, let us know. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Brandon, and take it from there.
Sweet. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I would like for those who've been kind of following along with the court journey, like we've kind of been teasing this for a while. And it's something that we've gotten a lot of requests of, right? Because we're servicing so much data on the platform, we're reviewing compliance events and issues and things like that. And, one of the most common requests we get is like, well, can I start to remediate those from the platform? And this is the start of that journey. So this is kind of like a phased approach, right? So the first iteration of this is actually just going to be through the actual Cork interface, which we'll show in a second here. Next planned phases for this are going to be more along like the true automation lines, in that we're going to start to include things like scheduling, automatic remediation of critical vulnerabilities. You'll be able to kind of configure that, set that up. So we're still kind of like feeling everything just to make sure that things are good to go, mostly from a security perspective. Obviously, right, we're kind of making the jump from monitoring only to actually deploying something through the environment. And we just want to be sure that we're being as cautious as possible, with that approach. A lot of us here at Cork come from, we've been in the channel for a while. We come from cybersecurity backgrounds. So that's kind of the utmost important to us is that we respect that process and, do this properly. So we're really excited to kind of show you like the first iteration of it today, and this is live today. So this will be inside the environments. I'm going to show you guys how to kind of get the process started for setting this up inside your own environment. And then also, as you do that too, we are very much, as always, we're looking for feedback on this stuff, different ways, different things you would like to see, different ways you would like things organized, what you would like to see in the interface, etc. So just keep that in mind as you kind of go, as I kind of present this. And then, yeah, like I said, we're all primed for that feedback. So first thing I'm going to do is actually just kind of share the Cork interface here. Let's see, it should be this guy. Can I get a thumbs up from panelists if that's showing up? Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So obviously this is the cork board and the software automation part is going to actually be underneath the clients tab. So when I come down here and I go into that specific client, nothing about the interface has changed, but there is now an additional option underneath endpoints called install software. And then there's also another change underneath software vulnerabilities down here with the same deal. And when I switch this to software grouping, I can actually do it by install on all affected devices. So this is where this process starts. So what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and click this. And you'll notice it's going to follow kind of the same process that the generate installer script does. So I'm going to choose my package manager. I would say 90% of the time we're probably seeing people choose winget. It's by far the larger repository of the two. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and delete Chromium because that never shows up. There we go. Now, what you'll see is there is a button here that says run on all affected devices. Now, if you don't want to run this from the platform, you can still just download the installer, right? That's still just going to allow you to copy the plain or download the plain text of the script that we generate. You can push that out. You can modify it as you want to. But if you have the setup configured, you can now actually just run it from Cork. And in order to do this, if you don't already have this configured inside the environment, which I'm guessing most people don't yet, there will be an option above this that kind of lets you know that there are some additional steps that need to be set up. So right now this is live for Datto and Ninja. I think it's also live for Intune, or and feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong. But Datto and Ninja for sure.
Yeah, that's
And
correct.
Intune.
It is in Intune. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So the way that you'll set that up, so one, you could go there and click on the shortcut. It'll take you there. But I'm actually just going to go to the integrations tab real quick and show you where this is at. So here is my Ninja, and there is now a fourth option in the integration for these particular RMMs that says script setup. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to choose my package manager that I want to use as kind of the standard for my deployments. I'll click winget, and then from here, there's going to be a setup guide that I can follow. This will go into the Ninja or the Datto interface. It'll kind of walk you through the parameters that need to be set up. But basically, this is so that when we push the script, Ninja and Datto and Intune know what to do with it rather than just seeing like a wall of text and not knowing the context of it. So you'll first follow the setup guide just to make sure that it's good, and then you'll hit verify setup to make sure everything is in place. And then from that point on, it's a one-time setup. And then from that point on, you'll actually be able to deploy software directly from the Cork platform. So what I'm going to do next is actually come in here and just run one of these to show you kind of what it looks like. And actually, first thing I'll show you, you notice down here too, the recent installs. This will kind of keep track. It's a little bit of an audit trail of like when these actions were actually taken. The future plans for this as well is that we kind of want to see if we can also reflect the current version of the software that gets installed in the results page. Right now, because we're limiting our permissions for security, but it's still only read only, we can only observe that we sent it to the RMM. But honestly, when the portal refreshes too, if it was successful, you'll see a lot of these vulnerabilities disappear because they're often remediated with just simply patching the software. So I'll go to install
Brandon,
software.
we got a great question from Paul. He asked, can you schedule updates?
Not yet. That is coming in the next update. Yep. Yeah, so that's actually, I'll kind of talk about that for a little bit here. The next update of this will include scheduling. It's also going to include prioritization, right? So the big thing here is that we still have the three categories for vulnerabilities. There's going to be critical, accelerated, and routine. And we want to make it so that when those vulnerabilities are detected, you can kind of set separate schedules for that particular priority as well. So yeah, that is the next iteration of this particular rollout. And like I said too, this is going to be phased just simply because we're trying to see how it behaves in environments before we go full bore with automation. We don't want it accidentally patching the entire system when it wasn't meant to patch that. So, but yeah, that'll be in the next phase. Install software option is grayed out. So it depends on if you've configured it through the RMM tool. So you'd want to go to your integrations page first and then see if that option is there for script setup. And if you'll want to do that first, and then that install software should become available. Okay, I'm gonna go into here. And okay, there we go. So in here, I'll click install software. Just gonna go ahead and do this. And actually, let's see which we want to do this for Edge. So we'll do it for Microsoft. Oops, not Microsoft. There we go. Click that. And then you can see this one's actually just going to run on server one. So just go ahead and click run. And then it queues this. And then it initially go here. And you'll notice it immediately adds it to the recent install list down here. So it allows me to keep track of when this was actually sent over to the RMM tool and the result of it so far. If this fails to send, it will also let you know, and it will kind of it'll let you know that inside of an alert. So, but yeah, that is the first iteration of deployment from the platform. You can do this from two different views. You can do it from the vulnerability side underneath here if you want to patch specific vulnerabilities, right? That's going to be there. And again, if you want to do it as a group, right, where you're patching all devices with that particular piece of software, you'll want to sort by software first underneath the software category, and then that's going to allow you to install on all affected devices. If I scroll up to the endpoints though, and let's say I go here because this actually has, oops, there we go. The data RMM. I can do the same thing up here, but this is just going to be more if you want to push software out in general. This isn't necessarily related to patching for specific vulnerabilities or anything like that. It's simply just to run the package manager for, whatever piece of software I would like to deploy to those endpoints. And mass installation is also going to come to this side as well. We're not sure which phase that's going to kind of enter in terms of the updates, but yeah, that's where this will be. And actually, it's kind of grayed out in our dark mode. We'll probably have to fix that. But yeah, this is what pops up if you don't have the ability to run that. So you can hit setup now, and it will take you to the Datto RMM script setup. And then, like I said, I can be the setup guy from there and modify Datto to do that.
And
Uh,
just to answer a couple of questions, like I see Garth says he's using enable, and then we had another question come in from Darren asking if ConnectWise RMM or Automate was on the roadmap. And I'd say yes, we're
yes.
definitely working towards getting the majority of RMM supported with this. And we rolled it out just to start with Ninja Datto and Microsoft Intune, but the remainder or the majority of what we see everyone using on RMM is coming soon. I don't know exact timeline on roadmap. Arun, if you want to share any more insight there, you can.
Yeah, as in, I'd say expect it in the near future.
Yeah, the update process there is that we actually work with, the respective teams at these RMM providers to make sure that the code is correct and the API is correct and all of that stuff that we need to push out. So the Datto, Ninja, and Microsoft were kind of the first ones that were readily available to us, and then the other ones are going to come after that. So, but yeah, we do have contacts at all of these places, and our plan is to roll it out to as many as we can.
Feel free to drop the RMM that you're using in the chat, and we'll see what we can do about prioritizing those as well.
Perfect. Oh, and it looks like Bill also put the documentation there, which is great. Thank you, Bill. Let's see. Yeah, synchro stuff, unfortunately. They're a little bit limited. We're hoping for synchro at some point, but that one is a little bit tough, I will say that. And then see in there for Avi, I'm not sure 100% what's going on there. Rune, do you see that in there?
Yeah, I'm going to bring that to the engineering team.
Okay,
It
so
could
that's
be that there's different permissions that are required for the integration.
okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, let's see. We had a couple other things too that we kind of wanted to bring up on this. This is our obviously, like I said, this is the tier one release. This is kind of the big one. And like I said, this starts that journey that we want to go down of remediating things from the platform, right? And the sky's kind of the limit here in terms of what we're theorizing for the platform. I don't want to overpromise anything, of course, but yeah, we're kind of looking at all options, including on the SaaS side of things, on the endpoint side of things. So, we're excited to see kind of where this road leads down and how we can help partners out on their day-to-day basis. The big thing with the way that we're kind of doing it as well, and ConnectWise actually kind of took a similar approach, but we're actually monitoring more software than they are with these package managers. But the advantage of the package manager approach to patch management is that it just covers way more software. So first and third party software, but like RMM tools, by and large, they cover between like 1 to 200 vendors on average. I think ConnectWise released an update in December of last year that kind of like upped that number all the way up to 7,000. But the way that they're doing it is posturized to be or theorized to be through package managers, like what we're doing. But currently, Winget supports up to like 13,000 pieces of software. So, especially if you have any environments where it's like kind of like BYOD, or people have more permissions on their machines where they can kind of install, maybe non-business software, right? Or just even proprietary programs for what they happen to be dealing with. If it is in Winget, it can be patched, and that's going to be like a big bonus to the system is that not only will you then kind of have your RMM tool for, OS level patching, kernel level patching, et cetera, which we do not do. We don't touch that level yet, but it will also help just cover any and all secondary and tertiary software that might be lying on those systems, which of course, like the tertiary level, especially, that's going to be big for vulnerabilities. Those tend to be kind of like how, people will find kind of an obscure piece of software that somebody has installed that there is a vulnerability out there for, but nobody bothers to update it. And that's kind of why we went with the package manager approach. It serves to cover a lot of those pieces of software that are small but significant holes in terms of the security posture. So the other big thing that we kind of wanted to talk about on the call, though, is MCP server capabilities. So this is something we've actually had built into the platform for a while. It has, as we've had more and more partners start to utilize it and take advantage of it, we've gotten some really positive feedback on it. So we thought we should bring it up in this webinar to talk about. What an MCP server is, it's basically a bridge that allows your AI agent of choice to talk to a respective platform. So in our case, it's talking to the Cork platform. The way that this works, and let me share out our documentation here real quick. This tab, nope, we got the right tab here. Should be this one. There we go. If you look here, so this is actually just in the admin portal. So if you go into your dashboard on the lower left-hand side, there is the admin with the cog. If you click that, and then at the second to last option in that settings list, there's going to be a thing that says API key. And this is the documentation found inside that particular window. So the setup for this is fairly straightforward. It's a maximum of like 8 steps, depending on what you're doing. Pretty much all of it is just generating the Cork API key and plugging it into your respective AI platform of choice. But what this allows you to do is use an AI agent to query anything inside your Cork platform. So what I'm actually going to show you here is a couple examples of, we use Claude over here for a lot of things. So I'm going to show you my Claude interface so you can kind of see how this works. So you can see here that I've actually done a couple different queries inside our main demo environment. And like I said, this is just plugged in through Claude. So if it's a connector, so you can see our connector up there is Cork that connects directly to our demo environment that we have. And so one of the kind of demos that we did for a partner was that they were wanting a list of customers that just simply needed security awareness training deployment. They were part of like an M&A. They acquired a bunch of customers at one time, and they just wanted to make sure that he was actually deployed to all or to see which customers still needed SAT deployment. So we ran that query in our own environment, and I just simply typed in, what customers still need security awareness training deployed, and it gave me that list. It also gave me the average Cork score that particular company had, and then it also gave me the list of security awareness training deployments that have already occurred for all of these clients. And then the other thing too is it can just be kind of used for any kind of query that you could think of inside the platform for things that we don't normally show, right? So Right now, we don't have a place inside the platform for an aggregate Cork score across all the clients. I just had Claude run that for me, and it came up with 539 as an average for all of the clients that we have in there. And then I asked it to make a report on everything above. And this is probably my favorite part of the MCP server is the ability to make highly customized reports based on the information that you would like to see. By default, it seems to have gone to a Word doc. I believe you can actually just ask the AI agent to make an HTML report, which is going to be by far the easiest to view across the most platforms. But when I click this, you can see that what it does is it takes all the information above and it generates a report out of that information. And so I could download this, I could send it out. If I wanted to customize this to a client, all I would have to do is ask the AI agent to do that, and it is able to spit this out. We were actually very impressed with how clean the report actually ended up being in here. And the cool thing about this too is that, theoretically you could upload your own logo to this and have the AI agent place it into the report. You could remove columns, add columns to this, etc. So very powerful when it comes to the idea of taking all of the data and information inside the Cork platform and then fully customizing it to what you guys, want to see on a day to day. We are also planning to include software vulnerability data inside the MCP server at some point, so that'll be able to be queried as well. We want that to also be able to take like actions based on those software vulnerabilities from the MCP server. So you could say, hey, go ahead and patch all critical vulnerabilities for the customer. I'm not sure if that's in the platform yet. I don't think it is, but we do want to add that. The goal with MCP server in particular, and the way that our API is working, is that we just want to make as many areas of data accessible through API as possible that we're gathering, so that whatever you actually need to kind of research or deep dive into your own partner environment, you'll be able to do that with the assistance of the Quark platform. So, and you can see too, I kind of went further than that. I was like, show me all endpoints in Los Pollos that have BCDR but don't have VDR detected or integrated. Because there is two things there. For detection, you can still observe from an RMM tool, right? And we wanted to see what was actually there. And then it generated this list, kind of told me where the source of it was coming from and everything that was in place there. How many total critical vulnerabilities? I think this is the client. We can't actually patch from here yet, but it does report on total vulnerabilities outside of this. And then it can get pretty complex too. It gets pretty heavy on the computational side if you start doing multi-layered or contextual queries, but it is able to do it. So I did all of this, and then it just kind of breaks everything down. Says I have total 35 total compliance issues, and then I have 30 at-risk compliance issues. So we have seen partners use this in a whole bunch of different ways. Some people just hook it directly into an AI agent and they're, off and running. We've had a lot of partners who, however, were actually in the process of trying to develop something similar to Cork, where, they take the vendor APIs that they have, they integrate it into a security dashboard, a customized security dashboard of their choosing. And they kind of have like stopped engineering on that, saved a bunch of money because the Cork platform kind of provides that for them, as well as like any future integrations that may come about. But yeah, you can integrate this into a security dashboard and use it as part of that. So you can just kind of query the data alongside any other, security hygiene tools that you may have in place. I'm going to stop for a second, take a look at the chat here. Make sure it's okay. So there is no questions about this yet. That's good. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that share. What was the third? We have a third one to talk about. Let's see.
The widget, right?
Widget. Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that. Thank you, Arun. I knew I was forgetting something. All right, I'm going to reshare a different page here just to show you this. This is also live. We do have a little, we call it like the help desk widget. The idea behind this is just to make it a lot easier to find or like make the KB articles more accessible inside the actual platform itself. So inside your Cork dashboard, if you look at the bottom right, there is now this little kind of orange bubble, and I click that. And you can type in your questions here to get an answer for that. So if I'm curious about, what any of these things are, I can just generally type that in and it will pull up the respective article for it. We kind of bookmarked a couple of the ones that we get a lot of questions about. So there's MCP. Fundamentals is always a good one that kind of explains how Cork actually works as a platform, how we organize the data. Release notes will always link to the most recent updates that we have for that in terms of the actual help desk articles. And then the other thing is that it is going to provide in-app context as well. So if I go to, I'm going to use the mappings tab as an example here. If I click on the question mark over here to get an idea of what this is doing, I click on this and I get a nice little kind of pop out from here, but there's a bunch of articles in here that says learn more in the knowledge base in here now. And when I click on this, instead of opening up in a new tab, it just opens up right inside the platform. And we want to expand this to the entire, I don't think every single link does this yet, but most of them do. But we want to expand this to the entire platform. We just want to make, all of the information that we've kind of worked on in terms of like how Cork works on the back end, how it's actually looking at devices, how it's looking at vulnerabilities, how it's looking at mapping. We wanted to make that more accessible and easier to see on a day-to-day basis when, especially if you have a new tech who comes in or somebody from that's not necessarily using Cork on a day-to-day basis to be able to kind of understand the platform a little bit better. So, but yeah, this is our little help desk widget that we launched as well. So that should be live in the platform at the current moment. Some other changes that we've done too, we're continuing work on the matching algorithm to make that as accurate as possible. We're always kind of like patching stuff in the background as well as people update their APIs. And let's see. There was one other big one too that was in there. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, assets and clients have multiple compliance event silencing rules. So this came about because what was happening was that if you needed to silence like two out of the three categories for silencing, but it wasn't able to do that before. Now what happens if I hit manage risk, you'll see this notification group right here. And so I can say BCDR, I'll say client declined, add test, and then I'll say add notification group. And then what that allows me to do is silence the other type of alert for that. So if I only want this endpoint detected in RMM, I don't want alerts based off of BCDR or EDR, I can now do that. And I'll just leave that the same. Test, find control, there we go. And then now when I hit save, it'll go ahead and save those two silences associated with that particular endpoint without excluding it fully from either notifications altogether or financial protection or whatever you happen to be. So this was highly requested as well. Probably going to, again, further expand on this as we go forward, but this is a good step in the right direction for this. And it makes it a lot easier to customize the silencing based off of what your relationship is with the customer, right? And mostly this came from requests of people who do a lot of co-management, right? Maybe they're only selling like a single product line to a customer and they don't want to be alerted on anything else that customer is part of because they don't have any control over it. So you'll be able to do that now as well. Looks like there's a couple other chat things in here. Let's see. Corky. Yeah, we actually we saw it's funny you say that because we were kind of debating if we should give it a name and like most of us here are old enough to have thought of Clippy. And then we were like, oh, maybe we should call it Corky. And then I don't know, because Clippy was pretty annoying, so I don't want Corky to kind of get that same reputation. But we'll see. Corky is definitely in the running, and it may actually become the official name for the bot. So we'll see how that goes. Don't you dare. Clippy's a classic, man. I'll give you that. Clippy is timeless at this point. Awesome. I think that is pretty much all of the major updates that we did. I'm trying to think if there's any other small changes that were significant but asked for. Don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in the chat just so that you guys can have it as available, just in case you want to kind of take a look at the fixes yourself. Again, as always, we're always looking for feedback about this stuff. The platform is continuously evolving. The challenges that we've kind of run into with Cork have mostly been about the sheer amount of variables that MSPs run into on a day-to-day basis, as well as how to make that digestible through the platform in an area that's in a way that's easy to kind of digest, right? So that's why we decided to kind of re-emphasize the MCP server because using the MCP server, you don't have to wait for the dev team to do like a highly customized report with that. But also too, it's all the feedback that we've gotten from partners that have kind of led the product to this current point and where it's going to lead the product going into the future. We're really proud of the work that we've kind of put into here. Our dev team is amazing. They allow us to pivot extremely quickly when it comes to features and integrations and getting things added and fixing things on the fly. So, big shout out to Arun and Marcus and everybody on that team. They're real game changers when it comes to this. And I'm sure I've talked to, a significant amount of you on partner calls. They're the guys who really make this happen in the background, so it's been really fun to kind of see them do their thing. It looks like he hopped off too, but like Andrew Mora, obviously he's been a big part of this as well. So him and I are pretty much constantly giving like feedback to Dev and talking about partner requests and everything like that. So, and of course, biggest shout out to you guys, as the MSP for, sticking with the products, helping us kind of develop it into something that is going to be great for everybody involved. It really would not have gotten anywhere close to this level so far if it wasn't for you guys, providing that feedback and, affording us the opportunity to make the product better in every way that we can. So just want to give a shout out for everybody on the call, everybody on the webinar, everybody in attendance. Just thank you guys very much. We're really kind of excited to see the next frontier of Cork and where we can really push this product to, how we can make it useful to everybody, and where we're going to go from there. Hey, James, you were included in the everybody underneath Arun and Marcus. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that. No, actually, big shout out to James. James is one of the sole authors behind reworking the entire mapping algorithm on the back end, which he did in conjunction with a little bit with the team, but a lot of that was a solo project, which was a mammoth undertaking and still is to a big degree. So actually, yeah, special shout out to James, special shout out to Justin. Justin's been a lot of the one who works on a lot of the vulnerability stuff. The software vulnerabilities is mostly him, and of course, the interns as well. We've kind of had a couple flow in and out. But special shout out to them as they have contributed to various UI elements of the project and everything like that. So, yeah, it's a way to connect Cork to ScalePad's control map. I think there is. Arun, do we have something in place? I thought we had something in place for them.
Currently not, but I think that we're exploring it.
Isn't that the... Okay. I thought we had got a request in for that. Yeah, that will be a... We've had other partners request that, so that is in progress. Awesome. I will turn it over to Arun briefly. Is there anything else that we needed to cover? Did I forget anything?
I think you got everything.
Did I get everything? Okay,
I
cool.
think
Awesome.
so. Good
Awesome.
job.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure. It's more of a safety check for myself, right? So cool. All right. I'll leave it at that. We'll give a couple more minutes just to see if there's any questions that kind of flow through, but if not,
I
that's
did
all I have.
want to talk a little bit about our masterclass series that we're running right now. So I mentioned this on the last release that this was coming. So the masterclass series has now launched. It launched last week. And this is a 5-part series. It's called Cork Cyber Rewired. So it's essentially an educational masterclass series meant to really kind of rewire the way you think about using Cork, right? Cork has evolved so much in the past year or so, and we want to really show you the different ways that you can put Cork to work in your business. So the first session of the masterclass that happened last Thursday was kind of an overview. We called it Vantage Platform Foundations, just kind of showing you what was there in Cork, maybe some of the newer things that have launched in the last year. And we talked briefly about the 4 different paths to using Cork. And that's what the next 4 sessions are really going to dive into. So each session will really just focus on one of the different paths. The next one we have coming up is next Thursday. So they happen every other Thursday. And this one is all about operationalizing Cork and really learning how to like efficiently put Cork to work for your business, right? So talking, taking tool sprawl from tool sprawl to one source of truth, right? Eliminating operational drag, improving team efficiency, optimizing visibility. With each session, we have a Cork partner joining us as well. So it's hosted by Andrew Mora, our head of sales. We have Dan Candy, our CEO, on there as well. And then we'll have one Cork partner to really kind of put it into that true MSP perspective and just talk like peer to peer. And so next Thursday for session 2, we have Charles Love from Showtech Solutions, if you're familiar with them. They've been a longtime Cork partner. They're based out in Florida. And we chose Charles for this one because he and his team refer to Cork at their MSP as Overwatch. They've nicknamed Cork as Overwatch, their tool. And so I think he's going to tell a really great story about how Cork is really kind of like the tool to overwatch all of his other tools, make sure that they're not missing anything. and really just like kind of like that gap management piece. So I think this is going to be a really good one. I see Bill put the link in the chat there to go ahead and register. That'll take you to the full page with all the sessions. You can go ahead and pre-register for sessions 2 through 5 or whichever one kind of fits the path of your business. And then that first session that happened last week, we will have it up on the website probably later today. We're working on that on the back end, so you can go back and watch them on demand. But really excited about this masterclass. I highly encourage you and the rest of your team to sign up for these. Even if you're not sure if you can make it, just sign up and then we'll send out the replay afterwards. But signing up puts you on that list to get the replay sent out to you. So, like I said, highly encourage, and they're kind of a little bit for everyone, right? So maybe it's you're the CEO or owner and one class makes sense for you. Some classes might make more sense for your tech, for your sales reps. So you can kind of dig through each session and see which one would make the most sense for each member of your team. And that's my pitch. So if you have any other questions, I see kind of a lot popping off in the chat, but it looks like Brandon and Arun and Bill are taking care of that. Otherwise, I think that's all we have for you today. Anyone have anything else to add?
I think so. I'm good on my side.
We will be at Beyond next week in Salt Lake City. So if you're going, be sure to stop by our booth and say hi to us. Bill will be there and Andrew, Dan, and Casey from our team as well. So yeah, booth 123. It's easy to remember. We're really excited. We've got some fun things planned, some fun little games, some new swag, some fun new t-shirts. I recommend you go check those out. We had some fun with the slogans this time. So, and we're really excited. We love these events in person, getting to see all of our partners and meet your peers and colleagues. So definitely stop on by if you'll be there.
Say too, Brian, I do see your request in there. Is that for the masterclass sign up that you're running into that? The drop down for the country wasn't working for him.
Oh,
Okay.
I see.
Yeah, well,
Okay. Yeah, I think someone had this issue once before, and I'm trying to remember how did we fix it. Let's see. You Okay. I will look into that and then get back to you, Brian. I'm not sure.
cool. Awesome. Thank you, Zoe.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And, we do these feature releases every month, first Wednesday of every month. So keep an eye out for the invites for these. I think it's just a great way to keep all of our partners informed about all the new features that we're releasing. We'll keep you all posted too on when new RMMs become available for this automation piece. And, really, like Brandon said, this is just kind of the start of our automation journey. And we're really excited to bring more features to you to help make your lives easier.
Thanks, everybody.
But thank you very much. We will talk soon and let us know if you have any other questions. Bye.